The last video I did was about the slow process it takes to like a video game or get into video game culture or even to become a cosplayer. It takes a lot of very specific moments that you remember, that you have kind of a fondness for, that have gotten you into the subject. And so today we're going to talk about how some use this same process to find ways to get you to do things. And we're going to use video games as our example, and specifically within video games. And I hope you really enjoy this. Once again, memories can just be breaks from the flow. So, you have this bad moment, and the recruiter shows up, and he goes, "Oh, I see you. See you're going through some bad times. Here, I'm going to help you." The truth is, this doesn't mean that it's a bad thing or a good thing. It just means that it kind of affects you. It gets you out of flow enough that you have an emotional reaction to it. For all reality here, I do the exact same thing as a Cub Scout leader to get my Cub Scouts to do things. We have kind of a big thing that happens every 2 to 3 months, and I just aim everything towards that point. I go, okay, we're going to have a big battle. We're gonna fight each other with swords, but we got to build the swords. We got to build the catapults. We got to do everything to be ready for the battle. Oh, we've got to go on a hike, to prove our worth. And the kids love it. They eat it up. But the parents are always like, "Well, this is weird. Why are you telling my kids we're going to war and all this stuff? This is weird." And it's because in their minds, they don't see a 10-year-old who just thinks this is the coolest thing ever. Instead, they see, or what the kid sees is, "Oh, well, this is stuff I can do, but it's very boring, and why do I want to learn it?" And I've got to give them a reason why. And I can't just be like, "Well, maybe it might save your life someday." It really won't, if I were being honest. Anyway, memories come from, just these breaks. And the recruiter steps in and tries to aim your emotions in a way. So this comes into the ideals of persuasion. And I'm going to be using a set of papers I wrote a long time ago, a couple of years back, where I took somebody else's ideas on how persuasion works, and I said, how does this apply within video games? And so this is how video games try to recruit you to play the game or to become this character within the game. Now, the truth is, you never see Gordon Freeman's face. You never know why he does things, but they specifically aim you in ways so that you think you understand. And there's actually moments in the game where it's very obvious that somebody's trying to control the way you think. And the reason why I chose Half-Life 2 is it was very easy to just kind of set things up pretty easily for you to view what you need to do, and for me to kind of use the Gmod, Gary's mod, to take pictures and set things up. So the first thing you have to see is social proof. And in Half-Life 2, they have social proof that you are a less than desirable person. You are being contained by, the greater good. And you kind of feel resentful. The greater good is quite evil. You'll notice that they portray them in dark colors. And, the blues and the scents like that. These are very cold creatures. They're not human. And so the social proof is, we need to do it this way. Social proof in real life is, sometimes you're down on your luck or you have a hard time and somebody goes, "Oh, well, let me tell you, this is the problem. This is the problem as it's coming up. You need to work on this." Then we have reciprocity. Reciprocity is a wonderful thing within anthropology. Because because your culture does something for you, you feel obligated to help them out. Within Half-Life 2, you have Alex Vance and other characters who help you out and show, warmth and kindness to you. And without even thinking about it, you want to help them. They become characters that you like because they treat you nicely. Whereas, the other character, they are trying to control, and they're very cold, and, they attack you. So you feel very distant away from them, but the character with but you feel close to Alex Vance and the others. Within real life, you have people who they'll help you out, and this is part of their culture, and they've decided to help you out, and you just feel kind of obligated to help them out, to do as they say. And this happens within immigrant groups where you come to this country and you don't know what to do because you don't speak the language, you don't know the culture, you can't even go into a grocery store because you don't recognize anything, and somebody steps in and goes, okay, let me get you the foods you need, or, oh, okay, this is what you need to buy, this is the equivalent of what you're looking for, just helps you move forward. And you owe that person so much, and you are willing to, die for this person at times. And that reciprocity comes back. If they were to ask you for something, you would feel obligated to give it back. And then we have consistency. Within video games, consistency is any hint that they show early on in the game that's very obvious, you can find for the rest of the game. The same thing works for Super Mario Brothers. Almost the original Super Mario Brothers, almost every character is based on that original Goomba you find. There are some slight changes, but they're very, very similar. The two characters that aren't like that, the Bloop Bloop and the Hammer Brothers, are some of the most difficult characters in the entire game because they're not doing things correctly in your mind, and you don't know how to respond to them. Whereas in Half-Life 2, you see that little symbol, there's going to be an extra thing, a hidden item right there, so you just got to go looking for it. And that consistency helps you throughout the game. In real life, a consistency is, this character goes, okay, this is how we do things. This is, the way things are. And I'm going to consistently be this kind of person. And so they kind of push you forward into this subject. And you go, oh, yeah, of course it's this. And, you helped me out in these hard times. And, I owe you. So, this consistency, yeah, this is important. And then there is authority. And authority within video games is very different. We have some very overt authority. If you look to your bottom left, you can see how much health you have. That is authority. You know exactly how much health you have because it is showing you and it is telling you. That is an authority thing. But within video games, you also have other authorities, and they can be subtle. For instance, where should you go next in this picture? The obvious answer is towards the light. Without even thinking about it, you have this authorial thing in your mind going, I need to move forward towards that light. Everything that's dark, I need to move away from. And you just, without even thinking about it, move forward. That is authority within video games. Maps that tell you where you are. People that give you goals. They go, okay, well, what you need to do is you need to do such and such to move forward in the game. And bam, you believe them because it would be foolish for them to not do that. So you believe their authority. In real life, we have authorities like scientists say, well, you know what, you need to do such and such. And usually we believe them because of the authority they have. Within the recruiter, as a Cub Scout leader, I have to use my authority to say, okay, we're going to do this. And the kids are like, well, you're the authority. Of course we're going to do this. This is that you are in charge. And, that's how it is. So what does that lead to? That leads to gangs, that can lead to Cub Scouts and video games being played, but it can also lead to gangs and terrorists. And I'm not kidding you. Listen to the process I've given you. When I was first doing studies as an anthropologist, I got to hang out with some gang members. They were actually my neighbors. And, many of their stories were exactly the same as Knights of Yore. And the reason why is it was actually aimed at the same age group. So you'll notice that they kind of have the same color and they kind of have this uniform look on both sides. And they kind of have this consistent feel to them. And then they have an authority. The recruiter is somebody who is older and is seen as wise, and he's helped you out in multiple times. And for gangs, they get you beer. They get you things that will make you think that they're really cool. And you suddenly want to do things for them, and then you hear their consistent stories of how important this gang is, or how important your religion is, or how important, your culture is, and they push it so hard that you start to believe it. And it actually takes a very slow process. The terrorists who are recruited don't immediately become killers, as much as people think they are. Whereas, the same thing happens with gang members. They try to shy away, but because they're not given a lot of options, and because their authority figure is like, no, this is good, we're doing good, everything is good, assuring them that what they're doing is, the good, for the good of all, they believe them, and they do these things. And, gang members, the people who are willing to prove themselves, are more dangerous than those who have already proved themselves. As strange as it sounds. Within nationalism, we have, the members of the high society party. Within communism, they say if you want to be a communist member, or if you want to be part of the Communist Party, you have to be accepted. And people will do anything to get into the Communist Party because they are told their entire lives that this is the party, this is the people that help you. These are the good ones. And in your mind, you're like, yeah, I've got to be a part of this party. I've read diaries of people who were willing to kill and killed people to be part of this party. And that actually changed the way people view gang members. The people who weren't part of the gang but wanted to be in the gang were called wannabes until somebody realized that they were killing more people. So then they were called initiates because they were the more dangerous group. They actually had to change all the terms and all the ideas about them. Whereas, terrorists, it's still a slow process where, the authority figure has to assure them that killing people is okay because they don't view everybody in the exact same way. It gets into a long subject, and I'm not going to get too into it. But the same thing happens from the slow process that you saw from fandom can be used by recruiters to get you into a gang or into a terrorist group or what have you. But it can also do cool things like, a good member of the clergy or a teacher that really helped you out when you were a kid. Or, I honestly had a teacher who helped me out a lot when I was a kid. 7th grade. Wow. I'm so thankful to him. And, the same process can be good or evil, but we can see how evil it can get when we see gangs and terrorists and the process that was followed through it. And, it straight up had terrorists. I witnessed a terror or a recruiter try to recruit my neighbor. And he straight up gave my friend alcohol and stuff. That's how they do it. So, yes, there's evil in this world, but that doesn't mean the process itself is evil. In fact, it'll get you to play video games. That same process makes you feel proud of being Gordon Freeman in Half-Life 2, or makes you have no problems with killing the Columbine and doing all these things. So, yes, it does do evil, but you have the same thing happening in video games and in Cub Scouts and in school. So it's an interesting balance, or not a balance. It's the thing itself is a stick. It's just something in our minds, but it's how we use it that shows what we are. Man, I think I've rambled a little bit at the end there, and I apologize, but this is such a difficult process, and I haven't been able to write any papers on the matter because it's just such a difficult thing to explain to people how, you go through this subject. But now that I've seen the Persuasion papers, I'm like, well, yeah, I can explain this a lot better. And in fact, I've already written the papers. I'll try to post a link or something on the thing, or onto my on the YouTube talking thing. So catch y'all later. For me in like 5 minutes. Bye now.